Fantastic Four: First Steps, as they are officially titling
All right, I
the
avoided
movie.
this for like days. So
Ooh,
we'll see
okay.
as I'll see
It's been
we'll
a few
see what
days.
it is.
Give me a 3, 2, 1, so
Oh,
I can
sorry,
watch with
count these. Stop right there.
you.
All right, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right.
Welcome to the Baxter Building.
We make a point to do family dinner every week. Sunday at 7.
I
on
love
the
the
dot,
the
no
4 by
matter
3
what.
aspect
We're all
ratio.
here.
1960s.
Yeah.
Cool time period.
Herbie,
And we
how's
expand
that sauce
out.
coming?
That's sick.
Yeah, I'll be the judge of that.
It's cousin.
Okay. Okay, is this guy good or what? I want to add a couple cloves of garlic. Not because it's not delicious, I just want to add a little bit of zip, okay?
Look at Herbie.
T-5.
Before we went up the first time, you couldn't turn invisible. Ben wasn't a rock.
The best pilot in the world right here.
Yeah. Best looking, he means.
And Johnny never caught fire.
Ben has always been a rock. Johnny is Johnny.
Hi.
And I am right here. Whatever life throws at us, we'll face it together.
It looks gorgeous. God
As a
damn.
family.
That's a terrifying shot of the Galactus silhouette over New York City. Oh man. Welcome to the family.
To
July
me,
25th.
this means that like that the Robert
Activision.
Downey Jr. thing is going to be like a cameo. Wouldn't that be hilarious? Like they beef that up and it's just an end screenshot of 5 seconds.
That's not this movie, Greg. You're thinking of the
Well,
wrong movie. That's he's gonna be in
oh, okay.
Avengers. He's
Oh,
not in
okay.
this. Yeah.
I mean, I love the style
is-
production of it. I'm really like this is like I miss this because everything when you make it an MCU, this is just fact. Yeah, the movies have to make sense that they live in the same universe, so they have to look very plain. Like they can't look very aesthetic, like Batman '89 or this movie. Like it's very stylistic.
Well,
It's great.
I think that's because the MCU is supposed to be set in the real world. So
Mm.
the movies are just supposed to look like the real world. I don't think they're intentionally being like, let's be basic. I think it's more so we want New York City to just feel like the actual New York that people go to. But this, though, I mean, they nailed the 60s aesthetic in this. I say as somebody who was born 30 years after the 60s ended. It looks beautiful. Like the interior of their, like, I guess, I don't know if they're in the Baxter building or wherever their headquarters are at in this one, where they're cooking in the kitchen, like the cool, like, rotating fridge. I love that the trailer starts off in that, like, 4:3 aspect ratio and then kind of widens out is really cool. Even the suits, they look like the 90s Fantastic, or was it, when did that first Fantastic Four movie come out? Like the 80s, like the old one that people hadn't
They're
seen.
cloth.
It's
Yeah,
like,
they're not like they don't
yeah,
look
it's
like
like
a
the,
basketball. Like that's the big thing. They
yeah,
don't have the basketball
it's like,
texture. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I love it. Even like the scene where you see them in their astronaut suits before they go up on the mission is really cool. I like the look of Herbie with like the little dials moving around on his face. Um, I said about the Jurassic World trailer too, but visually stunning. It looks
The
beautiful. The
production
shot where they're
design is
looking out,
fantastic. Yeah.
it is, yeah, it's gorgeous. Where they're looking out on New York. Obviously, the shot at the end of the Galactus silhouette over New York is pretty haunting. Gave me some Nosferatu vibes. But I love it. I was a little timid about the Pedro Pascal casting
Okay,
as
this
Mr.
fan
Fantastic.
casting.
Not because I think he's a bad actor. I think Pedro Pascal's a fantastic actor, but he is in everything now. And whenever you have an actor like that that's in everything, all their characters kind of start to blend together. You know, he's Joel, he's the Mandalorian. Now he's going to be Mr. Fantastic. I think he looks good in this. I like him with the little gray streak in the hair in the astronaut suit. Vanessa Kirby, somebody, I think she's great. I loved her in the last Mission Impossible. I think she looks like a good Sue. I like her little monologue where she's kind of saying that they've always been who they were before they got the weird powers and stuff. Um, have you seen The Bear, Greg? I know I talked about it on this
I watched
show.
a
It's
little bit
the
of it, but it was really depressing,
okay.
so we stopped watching.
It is. They yell a lot. But the thing is the cousin from the bear.
Oh, okay.
If you remember, the one who's like always yelling, telling him to shut the fuck up. That's him. So when he started talking, I was like, oh, it's cousin. And it's funny that in his scene with Herbie, he's cooking and talking about ingredients and stuff. Yeah, and then of course, Human Torch is your boy Eddie Munson from Stranger Things. who's also quite good.
I mean, I like it. I was so sick of the MCU, and I was so sick of the alternate universes are a fun place to visit, but for a hot minute there, we were just living in it, and I was just like the variants got really old for a while, and like Deadpool 3 worked because it was making fun of that. Really, like that was the whole point, was making fun of how dumb it is. But I mean, if this is its own standalone thing and they don't have to weirdly connect it to anything the MCU, I'm down. I miss
Yeah.
these movies that had just they can be their own stories without having to connect to a cinematic universe and be their own thing. I love it. What's what I want. I want to return to form to that. And if this is the first pun intended first steps toward that, I'm all for it. But if they
Well,
want,
Greg,
yeah, it's yes, good. Are you gonna ruin my? Are you gonna ruin my thing?
I'm gonna give you some good news and some bad news.
Okay.
Yes, this movie is standalone. In fact, I believe it's not even set in the main MCU canon. I think it's like six. It's not 616. It's like its own universe.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna see like the younger versions of characters, whatever, as in the '60s. That said, they 100% are gonna like. It's somehow in the next event they're gonna like pop out of a portal or like throw them somewhere. They're gonna show up again. I promise you that the Fantastic Four will not remain by themselves. There's no way. They will be with the fact that they're gonna make Doom the villain for the Secret Wars movie, and Secret Wars is about different worlds converging on each other. These guys are gonna show up in Avengers, whatever. Maybe not the next one, but the one after that. That will definitely happen. But this movie itself, though, will be contained. I mean, you're not gonna get like Captain America showing up. Or
I like
something.
that. I like its own unique thing. I want it to stay. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a cool thing that you don't see a lot of anymore. And like I said, I like the casting, I like the story. And Fantastic Four is arguably a very hard IP to adapt because it's so cheesy.
Literally, yeah.
It's really cheesy, but at its core, it's about a family. And like that's why the first
Mhm.
Fantastic Four movie that had Chris Evans in it, if you remember that movie,
I do,
was it
Jessica Alba. That was my childhood, man. I love that movie.
it was yes, there were a lot of bad things in that movie, preferably the Doom casting, and a lot of the action was pretty poor. But all the family interactions were great because they're family. Like that's what they
Yeah.
are. Like all that stuff of them talking, they felt like a real family. They messed each other like a real family. I loved all of that. That was like one of the highlights. If they can nail that again, make them feel like
Mhm.
they're a family, like without being cheesy and not being like
Right.
stereotypical Disney, that would be great.
I'm optimistic about it. Just the way that they've talked about this movie, and even in the interviews, the cast seems to have gotten along really well, spent a lot of time with each other. They seem to love each other quite a bit. You look at all the interviews, and Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby are always hugging and holding hands and stuff. I hope they know that aspect. I will say it
Mhm.
is funny. We're doing the thing now again where like a franchise is being rebooted, so now people are going back to the like maligned versions of it and are like now reappraising them. Like this week, I have seen so many clips from the like 2000s Fantastic Four
Yeah.
and Rise of the Silver Surfer movies of people being like, "I love this scene. I love this moment." Ben on the bridge when his wife or his fiance like breaks up with him and gives him the ring back, or like Chris Evans, Johnny asking how the Thing has sex with his girlfriend and whatnot. Like all these things, people are like bringing back now, be like, "Oh man, this movie was
The
so
family
good." And I'm
dialogue,
like,
the dialogue in that movie is great. Like
it's
with the
it's
team,
good.
yeah.
And hey, I was like 8 years old when those movies came out. I thought they were amazing. I loved them. I had the video game on GameCube. I was super into them. It wasn't until I was an adult that I realized that everybody hated those movies. So you're not gonna see me talking shit about Fantastic Four, but I'm excited for the new one. I am now officially on board and confident that they might do some. They might cook, as the kids say. And yeah, I mean, First Steps is an interesting subtitle. I mean, to me, it feels like an homage to the what's the why am I drawing a blank on the astronaut? Not Buzz Aldrin. What's the Buzz Aldrin that said this is one small step for man? Whichever one of them said it.
Oh man,
It's it,
yeah, American history don't fail me now. It
it
was
feels like a
staged. Is
reference.
this the part where I say it was staged? Donovan the Moon Landing was staged.
Oh God, no. That's a different show.
Yeah, yeah. No,
But
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, very 60s, very 60s, very 60s. Super
yeah,
stylistic, like it has its own vibe, has its own look. I really appreciate that.
mhm,
And
yeah.
something to
What do you
note,
think about? Go ahead.
something to note is that you never see Reed Richards use his powers in the trailer.
People have been talking about
Yeah,
that.
so you don't see it.
Yeah.
And I think elasticity is one of the coolest powers to have that's so underutilized. And in the DC universe, Plastic Man is the strongest superhero in the world. Stronger than Superman. So I think and I think it's just a cool
Powerful
power that
power.
you don't utilize much. And it is corny, right? It looks corny, it can be corny, but you can also have a lot of fun with it, right? It's just that striking that balance of like fun and cool
Right.
and emotional and all that good stuff. And it might pull it off. It looks so different than anything we've seen before, and that's a big thing to me. Like it doesn't look like just more MCU stuff. It looks completely
Uh,
different.
um, Tell me, are you excited for like a Galactus stuff? We see at the end, we see like the back of Galactus's head, like looking down at the Statue of Liberty in New York City. Um, obviously people have wanted to see that character in a movie for a long time. Very beloved, iconic Marvel
Yeah,
villain.
they did terrible. His interpretation in the second
Cloud.
Fantastic Four movie was awful,
Yeah.
which was based on the Ultimate comics. Because in the Ultimates, he wasn't he wasn't a being. He was like a swarm. He was like a sentient swarm of like robots or like
Yeah.
beings or whatever. It did not. It wasn't a great interpretation. People were really let down by it. But does that mean we'll see Silver Surfer, Silver Surfer, or Fire
Yes,
Lord?
we will.
Right? You know, like
Silver
one of
Surfer's
those-
in this movie. Yeah, they've confirmed that.
I mean, like it's. I mean, they're going all out, and this is what I wanted originally, but for some reason, I wasn't allowed to have it until 10 years later.
Mhm.
You can picture
Well, we
that,
have
right?
to have it.
You're sitting there like in the room after the first time and being like, "Oh, we'll have this character and this character," and they're like, "Oh, well, nobody knows who that is. We have to explain it, and we have to do this thing, but let's not do that. Let's just do this." You know, but like now we can just have fun with these movies. I think now because more people are
Right.
familiar with it. Maybe I don't know, but it took 10 years to get to this point of just having fun with certain characters. I guess Deadpool had a lot of fun too with characters. They
Yeah.
didn't need to fully explain a backstory, right? They just kind of
Well, they didn't own it. Marvel Studios didn't own the rights back then. It was still Fox. They
Yeah,
made
so-
Fantastic Four movies back then. Y'all just hated them. They were owned by Fox.
Fantastic Four was awful. Did you
Fantastic.
see Fantastic Four?
I did not see that movie.
Ooh,
No.
yeah, man, it's really bad. Like, it doesn't know what it wants to be. It was a very weird movie. I was like, what is this? Like, I mean, it was. I
Right.
can appreciate it not being a superhero movie, but it was definitely a weird film. Weird,
Mm.
like not in a good
Yeah.
way.
Well, this is the second of 3 movies that I'm excited for that are coming
Mhm.
out this July. Superman being the third. Obviously, we already watched that trailer. There's nothing new to talk about there. This will be exciting. I'm looking forward to talking about this more when it comes out, and maybe I'm gonna be there opening